Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, it was something on my end. It was trying to do the output through my mic. So, which I mean, it could have if I had headphones plugged into it.
And then okay, and there's me. There we go. All right. Ryan, you are on. I am on. Let's go. We're here.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let me turn down the music just a little bit. There we go. It's not as fancy as your getup, but my
Hey,
goodness,
you know
how like, okay, all right. Before we get really going, how was the drive home?
Oh, it was windy. I mean,
Windy.
it's springtime in the Panhandle, man. You know, we went to Oklahoma City for spring break for the zoo, and
Oh, that's cool.
ironically, we were there during the Final Four, or not the
Ooh.
Final Four, during March Madness.
Oh, yeah.
opening round. So it's probably the only time during the year that I ever really watch college basketball. Like
Mhm.
I don't know why. I love March Madness. I guess it's the closest thing to watching just the craziness of all the football being on Sundays that we have
Yeah.
until September. But no, we went to the zoo. We went swimming and went down to Bricktown. So we were literally walking distance from Paycom Center after Nebraska pulled that off. So
Oh, my
we went to
goodness.
this awesome pizza place called Brickopolis that was really good. And I watched the finish of that game. That game was insane.
Well, I'm sure.
Watched
Surrounded
the
by
finish
all
of
those
that-
Nebraska fans.
Well, when we left Brickopolis, it was just nothing but corn. Like that's all it was in downtown OKC. I mean, just a lot of Nebraska fans.
Oh my goodness.
Heading there. So, yeah, it was fun though. It was fun.
That's
That game
awesome.
was
Yeah.
good. So.
Nebraska was never really much in basketball until like Fred Hoiberg came in.
Yeah.
And what's funny was that Fred was born in Lincoln, and then he went over to Ames, and he grew up in Ames, and he became like a kind of like a hero of sorts in Ames. And then he went to Iowa State for college, and then he was like a star basketball player for Iowa State, and then he ended up being in the NBA he played for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And then he became an executive, and then he was like, I'm going to go into coaching. So he actually started out at Iowa State, went to the NBA, kind of floundered in the NBA, and then now he's at Nebraska, and he took him to the tournament for the first time, like in, it seems like centuries, but.
Yeah, I mean, it was a close game. There was good games all, it's March Madness, baby. That's a good game all of it. Yeah, no, there was a lot of very happy Nebraska fans.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Coming in.
But hey, let's get this party started. This is Unfiltered, Season 2, Episode 2, the 50th video on this YouTube channel. So,
There we go.
yeah, we're hitting milestones like left and right. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Ryan Justice. We've known each other for, probably more than 10 years at this point.
Yeah, since you were a little guy getting beat up at the WrestlePlex. Watching you get thrown around. I may have done some of the throwing.
Oh, well, I just remember the missile drop kick. And you were hey, like, I'm sorry for, planting that a little bit too hard on you. And I was like, it was good. You were good, man. Like, I took my receipts like a champ. So,
well, that's always been my thing, though. So I never wanted someone to get hurt because of something that I did, and that's those. I don't throw that as much anymore, 17 years in.
Yeah.
Yeah, May will be 17 years So there's my dogs. So if you've listened to the extra point, you've heard them at some point.
Yeah.
That's my older one, Jade. But no, like, yeah, I never wanted to hurt anybody in the ring. I never wanted someone to come away thinking I had to receive. So if there was ever something that I felt like I threw that wasn't supposed to be laid in a little bit, or wasn't supposed to be, hey, ease up or something, I always make sure to apologize. That's just the way I was brought up.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, long time.
Yeah, long time. Yeah. I remember Rex and crew always called me the train wreck because it would seem like I would get up and walk away from a train wreck, but nobody else could survive,
No. Well, it's a lot of them too had put all those miles on their bodies. So I ain't getting up for that.
No. No. But to give a little context behind, give a little bit of a backstory about Ryan before having Ryan introduce himself in his own words. Ryan he's an NFL podcaster. The extra point with Ryan Justice that goes on from about August up until February.
Yeah.
Till the Super Bowl. And I was on a few shows. The last one, my voice was starting to go out. And what's crazy is that I got sick right afterwards. Like I held off being sick until after that was all over. And then I was like, I think I was down for about a week and a half, but we got through the other side. And then I've known Ryan over the years in professional wrestling as well. Squared Circle Pro being my mainstay, while Ryan's been all over the place. So Ryan, in your own words, I think, along with taking long, enjoyable walks on a beach somewhere, tell us about yourself.
I mean, I'm a guy that has way too much on his plate. So, I mean, I've been professional wrestler for 17 years, grew up in Midland, Texas. I fell in love with wrestling ever since I was in diapers. And it was just, it's one of it's one of those things that you always feel like, man, in some way I have to be a part of it. In some way I have to do this. And that's just kind of what it was. I'm glad I took the path that I took, because originally I was going to go to a school that ended up not being as credible as a lot of them can end up being. Well, I mean, it's credible, but the person running it wasn't upstanding as unfortunately a lot of places can be. There's a bunch of for every bad school, there's probably 2 or 3 great schools. Lubbock Pro Wrestling 101, one of them. But yeah, no, I ended up training in Amarillo, started working, ended up training in Amarillo, working for Top of Texas week in, week out, for the first year or so, driving back and forth with Justin Taylor and Jeb Bingham, wild card for anyone that's followed him, driving back and forth week in, week out, and then making any show we could make. Top of Texas was the one that kept us booked, so eventually I ended up moving up here. It became a central hub for places like Colorado and Oklahoma and New Mexico, and of course other places in West Texas. Then transitioned on to Squared Circle Pro and Rocky Mountain Pro, and gone out and wrestled for DFW All Pro, all the pros, apparently.
All the pros.
But there just a bunch of places all over. We're coming up on 3 years now since me, Justin, and Jeb both got, booked in Vegas for anime, for Level Up Expo. And, that was an amazing experience. Wanting to go do it again. This year is, with WrestleMania. I unfortunately had to not put my name on a couple opportunities just because, hectic here at the house with 3 kids and a little and all that stuff. But, and then with the NFL, I'd always wanted to kind of get into sports media. I tried to play football, but it wasn't, that side of things wasn't what I, wasn't a fit. But I liked talking football, and I liked watching football, and I liked, studying and studying the game and stuff like that. And eventually it led me to Full Sail University, where I got into the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. After doing a show with TJ Mundell on Heck Yeah Radio called The Spotlight, where we talk sports. And after that, I tried a couple iterations of the Extra Point where I would get some people in and tinker with different forms of production. But the last 3 years have been the most consistent that I've been able to do it, where it's we start, like you said, we start training camp. We literally start the night before the Hall of Fame game. And we go through and preview all 32 teams in 4 weeks. And then we week one, we hit the ground running with week one and have something going, have something to talk about every week. I don't know if this is a brag or not. It's a grind. I'll say this.
It's a grind.
The way that I do it too is a grind, because since maybe 2018, I can't say that I haven't missed something live before due to various different reasons, but I know this year I at least saw a play or series live from every game as it happened. And that's the way I watch football. It's whether it's the red zone or we gather everybody, we gather up at Buffalo Wild Wings and have all the games on one wall and are looking, just kind of pinballing it. But yeah, I usually try to have something to say on each game each week, whether it's in a notebook, whether it's in on the show. And then, from Full Sail, I also got on helping out production with the NFL on Fox. I'm going into my 7th season with them. I've been working a lot of the Cowboys games. But for those of you who recognize the H on my head, I'm not crazy happy about that. But you know what? I'm getting paid to go to a Cowboys game. So
yeah, you can't turn that down.
I can't complain about that too much. So no, I love it, and I've actually gotten a couple other opportunities. It's looking like I haven't been fully confirmed yet, but I'm trying to get on to go help them out at World Cup, and I'm trying to get on to go help them out with other things too. So
absolutely.
Again, and then a dad of 3 boys, so too much on my plate for those.
Yeah, but that we wouldn't want it any other way, honestly.
No.
Because it keeps us out of trouble. It keeps
Although
us
I
from
will
getting
say
bored.
after Super Bowl this year, you got sick that week. I just all the energy from August to February and everything in between, because there's wrestling and football and kids stuff, and wife was in a play, and she's in one now.
Oh, cool.
And just all that running around. It's like, okay, it finally caught up to me, and I was just able to and I didn't, there was very little. The burnout was real.
Yeah.
This season.
Yeah. In knowing like how burnout can really, it can just exhaust you in grinding for for about 10 years in journalism, where it's like, you're trying to go on to different, bigger and badder opportunities. And then you're just like, I haven't had any time to breathe yet. So I'm hoping that you had some time to breathe just a little bit.
It was the exhale. Like I finally got to exhale. I was like, oh man, okay, I can just melt a little bit, melt into a video game or melt into a TV series or something,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I still wouldn't trade it, because I love doing it, even though there's some weeks where I'm like, oh man, what am I gonna do for the show? But Like this week, I got to make wrestling merch. I haven't made wrestling merch since the baby was born. So I got to at least make some bracelets this week.
Okay.
So that way I have something to sell at my merch stand on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Speaking of sports, I'm gonna let you, since I know that a really wise sports person does pay attention to some of the moves within NFL free agency. And I know we talked about it after we left following the conclusion of the Super Bowl. We were like, okay, all right, I don't the college draft. Okay, we can't touch that one, but free agency we can. So, yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts about the NFL free agency so far? I mean, it's been pretty exciting.
It has been. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know if you want. Yeah, I guess after last week you could be a little bit excited. I guess we could start with your team. We can go with the Broncos.
Okay, with Jalen Waddle going to the Broncos. Yeah.
Yeah, and not a whole lot of outside free agents for Denver. That's the big one, and I've been thinking about ever since that trade went down and watching, because it was literally a couple of days before the Jalen Waddle thing went down. One of those places like Football Forever is one that I use a lot for news and shares and stuff and I share their stuff a lot on my Extra Point page. They were saying there had been no outside free agents for the Denver Broncos. They had all been re-signing guys. And then, of course, John Franklin Myers doesn't re-sign with them. That's a big loss. Dre Greenlaw goes back to the 49ers. So, I feel like there were some holes to fill. I believe they had another spot to fill on corner, and getting a wide receiver like Jalen Waddle, I don't hate the move, but with all of the holes with some of the holes that I feel like Denver does need to fill, and going back with J.K. Dobbins, despite the injury history, I feel like giving up a 1, a 3, and a 4 for Jalen Waddle was way too much.
Yeah, it was a little steep.
It was very steep, especially considering the fact that, I mean, I don't know if they're still operating under pretty heavy salary cap restrictions from the Russell Wilson contract. I believe they are. I believe this is the last year that they do that. So next year, Denver probably could spend as much as they wanted because they'll have a lot of cap space. And imagine the cap is going to go up another year.
Oh yeah,
or go up again next year. It's already over $300 million this year. But I imagine it's going to go up again next year. So I imagine if Denver plays their cards right, they could end up having a nice little war chest to play with for free agency next year. It's just, I don't know, especially with the Bo Nix, with how late the Bo Nix injury was. If I'm a Broncos fan, I might temper the expectations to get back to where they were last year. I feel like the start of the year could be a little rough for them.
Sure.
Just to begin with, until they get guys healthy or trades get made or something, but they don't have a whole lot to operate with right now.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that. I think, once you get not past this year, because last year was just whoa. I mean, we were expecting progress with Bo Nix, but an AFC championship appearance, hey, we'll take it. And then maybe I know that there's been talks of Alvin Kamara coming over, but that's a big paycheck to write out. And then also there's trade there's talks of Deebo Samuel coming over, which I'll see it when I believe it.
Well, and I don't think Deebo Samuel would click very well with Sean Payton.
Yeah.
I don't. I think Jalen Waddle was. Don't get me wrong. I think Jalen Waddle was a great get. That was a good move to get, and I still believe he's on his rookie deal. So the draft picks were the biggest thing that they had to give up. And they had a late draft pick anyway. So I imagine they're kind of treating that second that they do still have as a first. I mean, they were picking what, third or fourth from the end. So, you're in that. No, because the Texans are 28. So I would imagine it's 29. It was 29-30 is where the Broncos were picking. So they they were going to be right there in the second round. I'm sure they were going to get a bunch of calls to trade up. Dolphins wanted to offer Jalen Waddle. They're rebuilding anyway. It's just, man, I think if that was a win now move, but they still have some holes that they need to fill if they still want to keep winning, And again, if Bo Nix going to be ready for the start of the season? Surely he's not going to be there for OTAs or mini camp, maybe training camp. But I mean, that's when I would watch. Like that's when I would look, and especially with the division, and now the other three teams in that division getting better with as much as Vegas has spent, and we knew that was going to happen. We knew Vegas was going to load up this team, and the fact that it's looking like Crosby's going to stay. Which that was a whole thing. That's another big deal in and of itself.
That was a whole saga in itself.
Yeah, and I'll we can get to that a little bit later. But I think if I had to look at a team that could turn it around like that, it's Vegas. And then of course the Chargers have a ton of cap space too. So I'm looking to see who all they may have added. Because I know they had a ton of cap space, but I haven't seen a whole lot of movement from the Chargers.
I know the Chiefs are making moves. They just brought in Kenneth Walker from Seattle.
They did.
The Super Bowl MVP. I mean, I feel like, the Chiefs are like, I think I brought this up. I was like, don't sleep on the Chiefs. Like, they might have had a down year this past year, but they're going to be right back in the thick of things, this upcoming season.
Kenneth Walker's the big move. Justin Fields obviously is the other one. I think Kenneth Walker's going to give them the run game that they really needed. They also have an extra first round pick with the Trent McDuffie trade. So, they've been re-signing a lot, a lot of depth guys that they've been getting for free agents. Of course, Travis Kelce re-signing, Tyquan Thornton coming in, and Kenneth Walker being the big one. But again, I look at what the Raiders have done, and I like the hire of Clint Kubiak as head coach. And Tyler Lindenbaum is the biggest one that they got as far as the O-line goes. They did bring in some edge guys in like Kwity Paye, Malcolm Kuntz, but they loaded up and they're looking to get guys for Mendoza if that's the guy that comes in. I still think they need a receiver and maybe another running back, but they've got having a guy like Crosby there. If they do end up keeping him, which I think it looks like they're going to, and he's pissed off. That can end up being a really interesting team to watch for coming out of that division.
Okay. Well, I'm going to.
I know you don't want to hear that as a Broncos.
No, that's fine.
I'm looking at the chess pieces being put. Like, man, I mean, the Raiders made some good. The Raiders did some good things with that money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and they're paving the way for Mendoza to come in. I think I'm going to flip it this time. I'm going to flip it over to the Texans. So how are the Texans doing so far? They've been kind of quiet, or?
No, they got to work, if I'm being honest. Their biggest issue was the offensive line. And getting, Nick, I will say this, Nick Caserio isn't one of those guys who's afraid to move on or who's afraid to shake things up when they need to be shook up. Last year they kind of caught a lot of heat because with the offensive line, they kind of did the Patriots thing of shopping in the bargain bin and trying to find guys they can flip, and put through the car wash and flip and turn into something. They did find one with Ed Ingram and he re-signed. But the big ones that they got on the O-line that I think are going to make real differences here is going to be guard Wyatt Teller and then tackle Braden Smith. They also re-signed Trent Brown as insurance, and Trent Brown played really well towards the end of the year. Of course, he's an older guy. He's a huge guy. He had a meniscus tear 2 years ago. He had some ankle issues. But I feel like they finally got guys on this offensive side of the ball that could be leaders, like guys who could step up and say the things that need to be said, be honest, be upfront. The big piece that they did go and get was David Montgomery. With Joe Mixon and everything last year that was happening with him and this mysterious foot injury that he had that the team wouldn't talk about, that he was keeping under wraps, and they needed a run game. And they had Woody Marks. They brought in Nick Chubb, or at least what was left of Nick Chubb. And Woody Marks emerged as kind of like the pass-catching running back, a third down kind of running back. But he wasn't going to be the guy that could tote the rock 23 times a game. That's where David Montgomery comes in. And he's another guy that he's a very smash mouth, very in your face. Texans like to use the swarm mindset, the special work ethic and relentless mindset. And guys like Wyatt Teller and Braden Smith and David Montgomery embody that mindset. They needed a blocking tight end as well. So there was Foster Moreau, who came in. And of course the defense, which was, I know statistically they didn't show up as the best defense last year, barely, but they were the best defense.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
They were hands down the best defense last year.
Yeah.
And they did have a hole on that side, though, because Jimmy Ward was hurt and now he has off the field issues. So they kind of were cycling, and they were kind of cycling in some young guys at that strong safety position. They go out and get Reed Blankenship from the Eagles. And he played really well alongside C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but now he's playing alongside Kalen Bullock and Kamari Laster and Derek Stingley. So the defense gets stronger, and I like what they've done. A lot of people were kind of panicking because they weren't grabbing the top shelf items like Tyler Lindenbaum or any of those big guys, those big money guys that were coming out, but they didn't have the cap space to do that. They didn't have the cap space to go pay $81 million to a center. So that, now I will say this, on the line, that's probably the place they need to upgrade is center. But they kind of have the moves that they've made allow them to play around a little bit in the draft, and maybe make some deals, maybe hey, if they want to add another, if they want to add a wide receiver, or if they want to go add another running back, they can go do that.
Yeah, they can do some wheeling and dealing, and
Nick Casario is going to do that. That's what he does.
Yeah, and a wheeler and dealer. Who else in your mind has really stuck out during free agency?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it in there's some guys that haven't stuck out in great ways. I always kind of look at it as, are you losing more than you're gaining? And the Jags I feel like the Jags got weaker. They don't have a first this year because I believe they gave it up to go get Travis Hunter. Travis Etienne is gone. And, I'm looking at some of the guys that they've signed. They also lost Devin Lloyd off the defense. So some of the guys that they've signed have been mainly depth guys, and they haven't really been active in free agency as far as like going and being in on some guys. I think losing Etienne to the Saints is a big deal because he was their bell cow, and I really felt like after the season that he had last year, they were going to be able to keep him. Of course, the big story is the Max Crosby thing. Again, I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Some other teams that have stood out, unfortunately, for me as a Texans fan, the Titans have. They have the third most cap space. But, I mean, grabbing John Franklin Myers, grabbing someone like Solomon Thomas, they upgraded the offensive line. And they really are just churning this roster because it is a rebuild. But it's Robert Saleh and it's Brian Daboll on that sideline. And they know how to piece together a roster and get the most out of those guys.
Yeah, and you need to help Cam Ward too. I mean, if you can help out Cam Ward, like I think the Titans can really trend in the right direction. Probably that's probably the right thing to say. Yeah, I will say, yeah, the Jaguars will trend down. The Titans will start trending upwards. Texans are still going to be on top of the heap. You still always got to think about the Colts a little bit, but
the Colts are in an interesting situation because they re-signed Daniel Jones. But we don't know. You don't know if he's going to be ready for the beginning of the season. Losing Braden Smith on that line, I think, is big. So they got to go out and draft. I believe they got to go out and draft. And I don't, from what I've been hearing, I don't think this draft is a good draft for tackles. I know it was for like guards and centers and stuff like that, but I don't think it was for tackles. They did a lot of re-signing. Looking at Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce staying with the team are the biggest ones. But again, I'm not seeing a whole lot of like real standout ones. They're in a spot, man. I feel like they got to figure out A, if Daniel Jones is going to be ready for the beginning of the season, and B, who's going to be there for them, because they still got to get rid of Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
And they got to figure out who's going to be there for them at the beginning of the year. If I want to flip it over to the NFC side, if you don't mind,
yeah,
a little bit.
Go right on ahead.
The Giants, man. I mean, the Giants are loading up. You bring in John Harbaugh, which that was one of the biggest stories going into the end of the season. Was what the heck was going to happen with John Harbaugh, and Patrick Ricard coming in. I look at Darnell Mooney coming in, Isaiah Likely being there. They re-upped on the offensive line quite a bit. Tremaine Edmonds is another big one. Greg Newsome in the secondary. I really liked that. And then, of course, you're going to have Scadaboo and Malik Neighbors coming back on that offense with Jackson Dart there. If the Raiders are the ones that I'm looking at to really kind of turn things around on the NFC side, on the AFC side, the Giants on the NFC side are going to be a team to watch.
Yeah.
There'd be a team that I'm a little nervous about.
Okay, especially if you're a Cowboys fan or an Eagles fan, because
I think the Eagles are taking a step back.
Okay,
I really feel like if I had any prediction to make at the beginning of this year, I really feel like this might be Nick Sirianni's last year in Philly.
Oh, okay.
I think they take enough of a step back that the fans and the management have had it. That Super Bowl bought him some time, but I feel like they've taken enough of a step back. There's been enough drama. There's been enough just distractions surrounding the Eagles, and Sirianni's been at the center of a lot of it. I don't think it would happen in season, but I could see them moving on from him after this coming year.
Okay.
If he's not doing well.
Right. Especially if he's not doing well, because the Eagles ownership, especially Howie Roseman, like really doesn't tolerate like anything less than, hey, we need to go to the playoffs on a consistent basis, or we need to contend for the division. So
Tariq Woolen at corner, not a bad one. Re-signing Dallas Goedert, signing Jordan Davis. I think Jalen Phillips not being there might hurt, but he was a luxury last year for them anyway. And we'll see what Hollywood Brown does reuniting with Jalen Hurts. We'll see how that works.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the team that, because there were some splashes that were made over the free agency period. I feel like, and I called it, I remember the Super Bowl show. I was like, Kyler Murray is going to end up on the Vikings somehow.
You did call that.
and he did, lo and behold. I honestly believe that's the right place for Kyler to go, just because Kevin O'Connell has a knack for rehabbing quarterbacks, especially ones that, that were kind of suffering before they went to Minnesota. And that we saw that in Sam Darnold. And then it's also a change of culture too. Like, Arizona is not the type of program like you want to throw somebody into the fire. You want to throw them in baptism by fire. For the Vikings, it always seems like they always have at least solid teams to really good teams. They just can never get over the hump. And I feel like they realize, oh crap, like McCarthy is not who we thought he was going to be. And I think McCarthy, if you take away the injuries, I think McCarthy would have came along okay. But when McCarthy went down, well, the Vikings were saved by Darnold. And now I feel like it's going to be the same way where McCarthy just gets hurt way too often. And Kyler Murray is going to come in, and I mean the only thing that really hurts Murray is that he's so small. But we've seen smaller quarterbacks succeed in the NFL, and also I think it comes down to the culture of Minnesota. It's more of a culture of winning. Very rare do they have they really fall apart. Even last year where they didn't have a great campaign, they were out of the playoffs kind of early, but they still came out with a halfway decent record. So, but the NFC North is loaded. I mean, it's going to be very competitive in the NFC North.
Well, I look at Kyler Murray and I look at okay, when was he at his best? And that was when, to me, it was when you had guys like, it was the couple years that you had J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins on the team, because those are two guys who bring the work ethic. I mean, Hop has some questions, but when he's out there, he knows what it needs to do to get to win. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't think that Kevin O'Connell is going to let Kyler Murray get away with some of the work ethic issues that he has had in the past. I don't think that Justin Jefferson's going to let him get away with that. And I don't think that, just being up there in Minnesota, just the way it's like you said with the culture, I don't think they are. But we're going to see if that, how he reacts to that is going to be big. I think he straight up beats out JJ McCarthy in camp. If there's a competition.
Easy.
If there is a competition, I think he straight up beats him out in camp. The Vikings, I feel like, probably need to do some work on their defense. They haven't made a ton of moves. And here's the thing is I don't think McCarthy might not even make the team because they re-signed Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And Murray and Wentz together, unless Wentz is going to be there as that emergency guy like he was last year and kind of be another coach in the quarterback room. I mean, why not? Like McCarthy just was not cut out. I don't think he's cut out for the NFL game, especially for as high as he was drafted. But the Vikings had some cap issues this year too. I think they're gonna probably try and address the D-line through the draft. That was one that I felt like they needed to kind of look at, especially with the departure of Jonathan Grenard. So I like the quarterback move, but they can't keep living like this. It can't continue to be Kirk Cousins on when's someone gonna come replace him type of deal. It can't be Sam Darnold on a reclamation project or Kyler Murray on the same thing. Like, they can't keep doing this. They need an entrenched, bona fide guy to be there and be the leader in the clubhouse, because if the leader, if the quarterback keeps changing every year, you can't really get anywhere.
Sure.
And I mean, I know they had Kirk Cousins for years, but was he really the leader in that locker room? They need a quarterback to come in and be the leader in that locker room. I don't think Kyler Murray's that guy. I don't think JJ McCarthy's that guy either. but they need a guy to come in there and do that. And I get O'Connell's setting the culture of that team, and he's the leader right now. But they need a guy they need a quarterback to come in and do that. But with the Vikings, I mean, I could see them being good. Aaron Jones re-signed. It's just I'm always kind of just right in the, like dial tone almost with the Minnesota Vikings.
Sure.
With the exception of Jefferson and Addison. Because their defense doesn't really inspire me. I'm not really scared. Like, of course, yeah, it's Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, but I'm not really. Their offense doesn't really scare me. Even when they were, the year before when they were winning all those games and they were right there for the number 1 seed, you always kind of felt like the Vikings could be teetering. Like it's like they're doing good, but boy, it could all fall apart.
Sure.
In one
oh
second.
yeah.
And it did, and so I've been. To me, the most entertaining thing about the Vikings is their fans and that home field advantage that they have. That's whole chance awesome. But until the Vikings put together a season kind of like the Lions have the last several years, and they can do it consistently. Not saying go out and dominate, but consistently be up there and be one of those teams that you're not worried about which side of the coin is the 1-score game going to fall on with them. I just can't trust them, and they just don't inspire me as far as like belief in that team.
Okay. I mean, well, also the NFC North is pretty stacked. It's stacked. I mean, the Packers were a playoff team last year. The Lions were on the cusp of the playoffs. The Bears had a resurgence. Caleb Williams blossomed. I mean, that's just, I honestly believe that, and this is the eternal optimist in me. I really do believe that the NFC North is going to be like one of the toughest divisions in pro football this coming fall. I really do. Alongside the AFC West.
It's either going to be that or it's going to be a 2-team race, because I could see the Packers taking a step back too. Losing Romeo Doubs. I don't know. I believe Josh Jacobs is a free agent right now. Or they were looking at moving on from him. And I don't know why they would do that, because he has been the heart and maybe the stats haven't shown it, but I felt like he's a running back that you could get behind. Mm-hmm. And really have, it's not the type of guy I would let go and watch go thrive in someone else's system. Like, that's the type of that, like, you got to figure out how to get him really going. But I believe they had cap issues though. They got Zaire Franklin in a trade with the Colts, signed Javon Hargrave. But that's about it. I think they got to figure out, they've got Christian Watson. I do think they got to figure out how to address the Romeo Doubs thing. That could be a draft move. Mm-hmm. Although I don't see them, that might be where they want Matthew Golden to step up. Because I don't see them going wide receiver 2 years in a row in the first round. But that might be where they want Matthew Golden to step up and kind of take that spot from Romeo Doubs, because he kind of was trying to figure out where he wanted to be last year, and it felt like one of those two guys was kind of blocking him from being the guy.
Sure. NFC West, I feel like, is going to be tough. If you subtract the Cardinals, you have, I feel like Seattle, I know they lost Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs. I do think Seattle's defense, I think most of it is still intact. You have Darnold that's going to be there for a little bit. I think the 49ers are going to be in that race. And then, of course, LA. People are really high on the LA Rams. The NFC West should be really fun to.
Well, really I wouldn't count out the Cardinals.
Okay.
Because I want to see what Mike LaFleur does as head coach. I want to see if he's anywhere as good as his brother.
Okay.
They may, they got to work on the offensive line. They got to work on the defensive line. You know, they signing guys like Tyler Algier, I felt like was a good pickup in running back. Gardner Minshew, if they're not getting the quarterback in this draft, Gardner Minshew, I know he's coming off an injury, but Gardner Minshew probably is a good pickup for them. If they're not going to go out and draft a quarterback in this draft, which they very well could, Mendoza might be off the board, but there's probably still Ty Simpson is out there from Alabama. So there's a couple guys out. There's a couple quarterbacks in the draft that they might be able to go get. Tegan Quatoriano at tight end. Decent blocking tight end. He's made some plays in the passing game before. But Isaac Samalo at guard, I felt was a great one. Matt Pryor at guard, I felt like is a good one. Roy Lopez, a solid defensive lineman. He played really well with the Texans. Andrew Wingard, I feel like at safety could end up being decent. So they've made moves. They've churned the roster. They've gotten rid of some of the expensive guys. I believe they've still got, I believe James Conner is still there. Oh, sorry, Trey Benson, Trey McBride still there. So those are some good pieces they can have. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is still there. So
He's
now
still
you may
there.
have you may have a head coach that finally knows how to come in and get him going and get a quarterback that can operate in tandem with him. So I wouldn't count out the Cardinals. They're very much still kind of rebuilding, but they've added some decent pieces. And of course, yeah, the rest of the NFC West. I mean, Trent McDuffie to the Rams, I felt like is huge, because if you had one weakness on the Rams last year, they didn't really have a great secondary. Or they could have gotten better at secondary. Trent McDuffie's going to do that for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that'll be interesting to see. Trying to think of other teams that really will hop out at us.
Niners.
49ers.
Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Mike Evans. That's huge, because they've needed stability at the wide receiver position for a while. And if there's one team that and that allows Emeka Ibuka to go in and be what he looked like he was going to be early in the season last year. But I think Mike Evans to the Niners in Kyle Shanahan's system, by Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings. If you want to play ball, you can play ball. But I feel like that makes a lot of sense, and I feel like Kyle Shanahan's really going to get everything he can get out of Mike Evans.
Yeah, absolutely. And it
Gonna
gives
help out
Purdy
Brock
another
Purdy a lot.
weapon too.
Yep. Gonna help out Brock Purdy a lot. If I had to pick a loser, like a big loser, I'll go one more winner.
Sure.
Kind of spoiling 3 up, 3 down. If I were to do a free agency show.
Hey, we'll make it like that. I'm down for it.
We could. Oh, I haven't had time to prep. I need to go in and look at it. But I like what the Panthers have done. Kenny Pickett, I feel like, is a good backup for Bryce Young. Sign someone like John Mechie, who's pretty good depth piece. Getting an edge guy like Jalen Phillips, who played really well last year. And the Panthers were kind of start and stop at times last year. Went on a bit of a win streak. We're winning games. They're looking like they're right there trying to get over the hump. The little engine that could. This could be some of the moves that they've made. I feel like could end up really helping them. Devin Lloyd, and Jalen Phillips, on the same side of the ball, could cause some problems. Could really cause some problems.
Okay. So the Panthers are trending up. To be in the spirit of the 3 up, 3 down, who do you think who do you think feels like really gutted? I feel like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they lost Mike Evans was such a key piece of the Buccaneers for years, and I have a friend that's like a really big Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and he one of my other friends who's a wrestler. He's based out of Des Moines. He was like, somebody check on Craig, like to make sure that he's okay after the Mike Evans trade. And Craig's okay. I mean, I think Craig's still high on the Buccaneers because you still have Baker Mayfield there.
Yeah, and I mean, Ibuka and Godwin are a pretty good wide receiver threat. They re-signed Cade Otton, brought in Alex Anzalone at linebacker. I thought that was a good pickup. He's played some really good ball for the Lions. Physical, brings that real gritty mentality to the team. A'Shawn Robinson on the defensive line's not a bad pickup. They were operating with some cap limitations too, but I feel like they could really address some stuff in the draft. But yeah, the Jags. A lot of people kind of iffy on what the Falcons have been doing.
Sure, yeah.
They tagged Kyle Pitts, signed Austin Hooper, signed Tua.
That was interesting.
To come in. That's the big one. That's the one that I think. Again, they're ones that I'm kind of like I'm wondering if they can get it done. I think Kevin Stefanski coming in as head coach with guys like Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson is not a bad thing. I think you may finally get to see those guys used the way that they needed to be used. They didn't have a bad defense last year. And I mean, Arthur Blank gutted the entire front office.
Oh yeah. Hard reset.
Yeah, this is about as hard of a reset as you can get. Matt Ryan coming in as a coming out from the studio to come be basically president of the team. I don't know if I want to call them losers. They're ones that are interesting to watch. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys have done okay. I like the Rashawn Gary pickup. I thought was really good. Tagging that signed Sam Howell to come be a backup. Usually it's the teams that don't make a ton of moves that I'm sitting there like, okay, this could end up they could end up trending down. The Steelers, man. They got to quit playing games. They signed Rico Dowdle.
That's a good way to put it.
They got to quit doing that. I mean, they've made some decent moves. Cam Hayward, Sebastian Joseph Day aren't bad. Rico Dowdle's a good one. They will be the ultimate loser to me if they go with Aaron Rodgers again.
Oh.
You can't do it. You can't do it. He's not like – he needs to retire. Like, he needs to hang it up. And because the Steelers cannot just keep spinning their tires like this. They're a lot like the Vikings. Mm-hmm. They need the guy. They need that quarterback. But for so long, they've just refused to be one of those teams that get into position to get that they're stuck. They're stuck in purgatory.
It's kind of the sickness of being consistently winning. So
well, that and I'm not high on the Mike McCarthy hire for head coach.
Me neither.
Could he get it done? Maybe. But that's like the Steelers' MO was always young, hot coaching candidate or somebody that they really vetted hard. Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, that could be there for the next 30 years.
Yeah. At least the next 10, 15 years. But
I don't see that with McCarthy.
No.
I don't.
No. I mean, it's going to be like a 4-year trial period, and then they have to go with somebody young.
If that.
Drew, welcome in, by the way.
If that.
But yeah. I'm so worried that the Yinzers are going to go nuts. You're going to see more days of our Steelers from urinating tree. I will say if the Giants really turn it around, man, we're going to see a much happier 5 points vid.
Oh yeah, I bet. I mean, and I want is if we're picking losers, I guess I could always go with the low hanging fruit, the Cleveland Browns.
Oh yeah, the factory of sadness.
Yeah, that yeah. I mean, still don't know who the quarterback is. You know, they got 50 quarterbacks on the roster. Still don't know who it's going to be, and one of them is taking up a pretty significant fraction of your cap space. And could end up being the starter again next year.
Oh my Lord.
You know, you've got the most polarizing one. You got another polarizing one. You got one who played solid, but, you know, again, was a rookie and you yanked him. And like they had to rebuild the offensive line because they all were free agents this year. Although Eggleton Jenkins and Titus Howard aren't bad pickups. Titus Howard's played all over the line for the Texans and is a very versatile one. Jenkins at center played solid for the Packers for a long time. So they've made some decent pickups. I don't know about Todd Monken as the head coach. I mean, he took it because nobody else would.
Yeah.
But that could end up being a good thing. I'm not high on the Browns.
Right. I have a good friend of the channel pop in on chat. My mom is a diehard Steelers fan. Coward.
Look,
Bill Cowher was a force. I'm not a football fan, but I like this. So I like the Chargers because of the logo, and I'm an electrician. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Great way to pick a team.
I mean, like they have all that cap space, and they did a lot of re-signing. And a lot of re-signing on 2 and 3 year deals. So not a lot of long-term guys that they brought in. Of course, re-signed Trey Lance. They did bring in Keaton Mitchell, and Alec Ingold. Charlie Kolar is another good one.
Yep, Charlie Kolar is really good. Yep.
They're constantly trying. They got to get that line fixed. You know, Alt and I forgot the other guy that they signed, and then he got hurt right before the season even started. Losing those two guys, they had 20 something combinations.
Yeah.
Of offensive line throughout the season. They got to get it fixed.
I just remember, the other side of the spectrum is the Jets, where they were like, "Hey, all of our linemen all started all throughout the season, no injuries," and it's like, but you guys are bad.
They didn't do nothing.
They did, yeah.
And I mean, if you want to go low hanging fruit, you could look at the Jets and what they've done. I mean, we'll see what Geno Smith does.
See what he does for a homecoming.
Yeah, we'll see how that works. Joseph Osai is not a bad one. David Onyemata is not a bad one for the defense. Tavondre Sweat's not bad. They traded for him. They got some decent. They picked up some decent guys on the defense, but it's the offense, man. It's the offense. Re-signing Breece Hall, of course. Garrett Wilson's still there. We'll see what they get with Geno Smith. They fired the entire coaching staff.
Yeah.
With the exception of Aaron Glenn. But we'll see. I mean, and Woody Harrelson just can't keep his fingers out of the pie.
No.
If that's a reference I can make.
Yeah. It's definitely a reference you can make.
he can't stop meddling, and I don't know. We'll see if they can. We'll see how the changes take effect this year. This could end up being Aaron Glenn's last year too. Yeah. And I hate that for him.
Yeah, I hate that too. Lightning would defeat most other logos. I totally agree.
Probably would.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get struck by a bolt of lightning, but I think I'm going to switch it. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I mean, we talked plenty of NFL free agency, not enough to where we can make an entire show out of it, but
I don't know. We might be able to.
Yeah, with your compendium of knowledge, we could definitely make it work. Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to do off-season episodes of the Extra Point, but that's your baby. That's not mine.
Shoot.
Although I do know some people that could help you out on the draft if you ever needed help with the draft. So, because I know a little bit about the draft. I'll know some players that will come out, but I know And the only thing is he can't make appearances on Sunday. It's his busiest day of the week.
Shoot,
So,
just give me a just give me a report.
yeah. Just give us a report and just say, hey, it's all thanks. And
I can't keep up with college, man.
Yeah,
I follow tech. That's about it.
Yeah, and yeah, just because it's such it is such a wild west in college football. And that's why it used to be like really consistent, and you'd be like, okay, all right, well, which coach is going, which coach is coming in, what kind of crop of kids are they working with, what kind of kids are they trying to bring in, or who are they trying to recruit? I mean, that's a different animal.
Yeah.
I mean, at least with professional football, you have a little bit of consistency, and things are properly defined. I mean, you have when free agency is going to start, when the draft is going to be, when OTAs and and training camp's going to start. It's a defined schedule.
You don't have coaches leaving before the postseason.
Oh yeah,
they're fired. Like you don't have that, so it's not as much inner sports politics. I mean, I'm sure it's there, but it's not as out in the open as it is with college sometimes.
Right. So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. I'm going to let you play your greatest hits as far as the wrestling side is concerned. So, I think a good starter would be like, what were some of your favorite matches you've had over the course of your career?
Man,
I know there's a lot.
I mean, anytime, obviously right off the top of the bat, anytime me and Justin got in the ring.
Oh yeah.
Anytime we locked it up. It's just it's one of those things. And here's the thing is, it's not just a wrestling thing that I just have this chemistry with him with. It's life. Like for a lot of people who don't, for anyone who wants to dive in, like Justin and I have been friends. This year marks me and Justin knowing each other for 20 years. And I met Justin at 16, when I was 16 years old, going into a movie theater for my very first interview. He was my very first interview for a job ever.
Wow.
And, he looked at I had, for whatever reason, interest, when you're creating your very first resume in high school, whatever, you list your interests, and I had professional wrestling on there. And, we clicked and started talking about that. I get hired at the job, and the next thing you know, we're spending entire shifts just talking wrestling and hanging out at his house and watching, and then it just evolved from, you seen what it evolved to. But if I had a favorite one of me and Justin, tippy top favorite probably is Loser Leaves Town, OSW, 2017. Because it was in front of maybe 1,300 people.
Wow.
And we were that was the loudest that show got that night. And that was a show that had Abyss on it and the main.
Ooh.
And even, we go back, that's one of the biggest compliments I think I've ever been paid was, he looked at the promoter, Fred Urban, God rest his soul, and he pointed at us and he said, those two should have gone on last because I can't beat that pop.
Oh.
And that was huge. That was probably one of the biggest compliments I'd ever been paid in the business. Same goes with Justin. And without diving too much into the backstory, that was validation in a lot of ways for me and Justin.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of my favorite matches early on. This is one of those ones that was lost because somebody didn't press record or footage
it's lost media
or something. But it was probably my last man standing match I had with Jake Logan.
Ooh.
In 2012, because we were, Jake, I believe, was maybe a year and a half in.
Yeah.
And I was about to hit 4 years in.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just spent that was another feud that had a lot of validation in it. Because it was, a year-long thing, lots of ups and downs. First time I really felt like I could use my voice with wrestling, and one of those things where it was two really young, hungry guys getting in there and just going and just tearing it up. Obviously a couple of the bigger ones that I think I look at as my favorite ones. Myron Reed. For those of you who know him as with the Rascals, he's in AEW now. But in 2021 for Pele Pro Wrestling, me and Myron worked together. I really enjoyed that match. I felt like that was a validation, another validation moment for me. And then of course another one that I really had that was a lot of fun. There's a guy named Mike James who, when I came back to Top of Texas in 2022, there's a guy named Mike James that I wrestled 2 out of 3 falls in a steel cage, and that was a really fun match. I have it on my YouTube if you guys want to go check it out.
Yes, do check out Ryan's YouTube page. It's like wrestling, and it's the extra point. It's for anybody that's into both pro football and pro wrestling. Ryan's got he's got what you need, like all in one channel.
And then I think probably to round it all off, the one I had against the one called Manders.
Okay.
That was probably that was one of the ones where it was like I could not find. I look at every wrestler is as hard on themselves as they can get. Even if they have a perfect match, they're finding something to be hard on themselves about, because that's just how we operate.
Yeah.
That was one of those ones where no matter how hard I tried, I could not find something to hate about that match.
Okay.
I love that match. Just from beginning to end, I love that match.
Okay. Well, I guess Manders and Justin has that magic for you, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of guys that, like I said, Mike James was a really good one. There's another one that was it was really fun. This one's not on the YouTube, but it's Rocky. The first time we had this street fight at Rocky Mountain Pro, it was us as the West Texas Legacy against the Rocky Mountain Pro guys, and I had D'Lo Brown calling it. And it was one of those, for lack of a better term, those clusterfuck matches that just ended up being really fun, and being produced and having that match being produced by D'Lo Brown and Marty Elias, and having that match just be a ton of fun was like I'll go back and watch that match just to have fun.
Sure. Okay. I know you talked about you really you clicked with Justin Taylor, and Justin, man, he has just been all over the place.
Yeah. I know. I was like, man, I want to be out there with him. And just, Justin's he's always been, that motor's always going, man. Always going.
Always going, always thinking.
The one we had at the Independent Wrestling Expo, the very first one too, that was one of my favorite ones too, even though it was COVID and there was hardly anybody there. It was on Fight. If you look in the background during that match, there's some names watching that match. And I hit my springboard code breaker. And if you look very closely in the background, you can see it popping Brian Pillman Jr. pretty hard. Rodney Mag gave us a lot of good feedback on that match. I forgot his TNA name, but him and Ace Austin. He used to tag with Ace Austin. They gave us some really good feedback on that match. So that one's another one that we had.
Yeah.
Jeb's I'm sorry, I mentioned Jeb Bingham and Aaron Harms are also, those are guys that I have a lot of good chemistry with. Always had fun in the ring with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jeb's always been one to really push me um, in the ring, and I love it. We always raise each other to the next level when we wrestle. So one of my favorite ones that I've had with Jeb, um, it was. I mean, obviously, our triple threat in Vegas was really fun.
Nice.
Um, and again, that one was interesting because I was hurt. My right arm was pretty much hanging off my body, and
Oh no.
we still went out there and had a really good match.
Okay.
Another good one I had with Jeb. I'm trying to remember which BCW one it was. I believe it was the first one. It was my OSW West Texas title against his BCW title, and believe we went to a no contest.
Okay.
And we had a really good match.
Okay. Nice. That gum. Yeah. Sometimes it really comes down to, like if you have like the people you remember most when you're wrestling, it's not like so much the matches or even like the road stories or whatever. It's like the dance partners that you have.
Mm-hmm. And I mean that like those are probably my closest ones. But another guy, a lot of guys who helped me out in the beginning, guys like Cody Jones. I was thinking the other day, Cody retired last year, but I would have loved to have had one more with him.
Oh yeah.
Guys like Austin Riley, in the beginning, we had some really good matches together. Guys like Bryce Payne, who I won my first title off of. That was another guy that you better bring it in that ring.
Yeah.
And especially technically, because he knew how to pick you apart. Nolan Phillips, obviously, me and Nolan always had some really good matches. And we always had some really good storytelling, psychological matches.
Yeah.
And tag matches too. We always had fun. If I had to pick, like, guys like Josh Jackson, Mark Wilson,
Josh Jackson. Oof.
Yeah. I always loved working with Josh.
Josh Jackson could make anybody look good when he was like in shape, and he was when he looked great. Like he can make anybody look.
And he had that personality, and of course, guys like Jay Hazard. Jay's still going. Jay's still doing it. As good as he ever has. We always had fun in there with Jay. Still do and of course Tino Valentino. Our SCP match was really good. I loved working him. There's if I had a match that's not West Texas that I thought was really fun. We did a ladder match for Advanced Pro Wrestling a couple years ago. That was just just 4 guys going out there and laying it all out there. That was a really fun match too. That was Balak Bridges, Seth Anunnaki, Chance Fortune.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that was a really fun one.
Yeah, and it always seems like whenever I talk to anybody who's anybody, especially in West Texas, Tino Valentino is always kind of the uniting force. Because I talked to Draven about Draven brought up Tino, and I know Rick brings up Tino a little bit too. So, yeah, he's kind of he's almost the tie that binds. I'm almost kind of like, you know what? You should hop on Unfiltered and talk about who you enjoy working with, and he's been all over the place too.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about guys that can kick it up to a new level. That's like Tino. He knows how to do it, and he's as honest as you can get with somebody, as understanding and as compassionate as somebody could be. But when you get in that ring with him, boy, you got to bring it.
You got to go.
You got to be able to go.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna kind of twist it just a little bit. Some of the most unique places you've ever been to, like venues or promotions that you've been with. I mean, I know everybody has like favorite matches and everything, but
Because in wrestling, unique can be good or it can be bad.
You can. I'll just say, hey, in a good sense. Like, what's some of the most unique venues you've been to? Either as, hey, I'm just, I'm hanging out in the back, or I am, hey, I'm out, I'm working the show, or I mean, in a good sense. So we'll say unique in a good sense.
I mean, I think, I did get to help out with GCW a little bit. That was fun. I was trying to, get on their radar. That was fun and interesting. I mean, my second match ever took place in a hollowed out movie theater.
That is pretty cool.
Because of what mine and Justin and where we came from. I believe, let's see, Vegas, obviously, getting to go work at that expo. That expo had tens of thousands of people move through it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I wrestled Myron Reed, we wrestled in a brewery.
Oh, okay.
Like the entrance to the ring came through the big old vats.
Oh, that's neat.
They had. It was pretty cool. And he did a dive. He did a dive to the outside, and we were right up against one of the things. It was interesting. And they did a whole pay-per-view from there. Like, it was on Fight and everything, title match and everything. So that was an interesting one. And if I'm being honest, the original WrestlePlex was, when it was on, man. The original WrestlePlex, when it was on, like, that was
when it was full of people.
And with that roster, I say this a lot. That roster from maybe 2012 to like 2016, 2011 to like 2016. I would have put it up against any roster in Texas.
Sure.
I would have put it up against any roster in Texas. Weekly show, top to bottom, good matches, top to bottom, guys that were over, that had people believing in them. And I felt like if there was a little bit more awareness about it, man, that would have skyrocketed.
Sure.
But as much fun matches as I've had week in and week out, I miss those times sometimes. I'm trying to think. Obviously, Jake's Back Room is always an interesting one. The Haltom Theater for DFW All Pro is awesome. Or VIP, wherever they're at out there, amazing. Getting to wrestle for OSW. In Shap Center, where you talk about Midland, Texas, where it was where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
But getting to wrestle in Shap Center, where there's just so many memories for me. Whether it was going to high school and basketball games with my grandpa, or sitting courtside and watching high school basketball games as my dad did the PA announcer for it.
Mm-hmm.
Going to my first WCW show there, and knowing that, in 96, and knowing that Justin was there and Jeb was there and guys like Sam Logan were there, who was a referee for OSW, Lee Knight, who has been a prominent manager here, and just so many guys that I would come across. We were all there as kids.
Oh my goodness.
Watching that WCW show that had Macho Man and Ric Flair on top.
Oh,
and that was crazy that we were all there at that show together. And then, of course, that's the building that I graduated high school in. And then, of course, opening that, being one of the first shows for OSW in that building in front of a lot of people, that was really special.
Yeah.
And obviously, really Ector County Coliseum.
Okay.
A lot of big time wrestling has been held there. But it was always a great venue. Hood Junior High, another one for OSW. When that was on, that was just a special environment.
Nice. The one place I wish that you could have experienced was the old school warehouse The
I've been
WWE
there.
where? Oh, were you?
I never wrestled there,
Right.
but there was a time me and Jeb wrestled at the WrestlePlex,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had somebody that we had to pick up from the warehouse. So we finished
Oh.
up the WrestlePlex early, and then we drove to we hopped on over to the warehouse to pick up our other guy that came with us. And so yeah, we stood in the crowd. We had hoods on.
Oh,
We
okay.
stood in the crowd, and I think I watched Chewy and Rex beat the hell out of each other. So yeah, I was in there for a little bit of it.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I never got to like wrestle or train in there or anything, but just there. I remember shows where it was like cold. It was cold as heck, and then there would be other like Saturday nights where you go in, and it'd be a sweat box. Like it's a
That's
sauna.
the WrestlePlex too. That was the WrestlePlex. It was like, spring and fall were the best times to be there because it wasn't hot, wasn't cold. And then you get to July and it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then when they started doing shows on Sundays at 2, and it was just like right in the middle of it. Because like when they did Saturdays in the evening, it was like, okay, it's gonna cool off. Like it'll be fine. By the time you get to the main event, yeah, it'll be hot, but it's not gonna be blistering. I always heard that when it was really up and going, Independence Hall was really good.
I've heard stories about Independence Hall.
Nothing but good things about those shows.
Yeah.
Nothing but good things about those shows.
Yeah. And then I think as a fan, I was able to go to the ECW arena. That was interesting. The walk in through the back and, and it was so funny because like, and I talked about it with Rex a little bit was, V of all people gets in for free, sits in for a free show, and sits underneath the air conditioner. Like where I'm like, I paid for. Well, of course it's Violent V. He.
Of course, like that. That's not out of character at all.
No, it is not out of character. He kind of lucked into that. Like he.
Oh yeah.
He had like a free trip. He had free food. And I think he just had to pay for his like own food sometimes every now and then. But other than that, man, that guy had a free ride. And I was like, I think Rex paid a little bit. And then I pretty much bankrolled the whole thing. Like,
there you go. I mean, I think, obviously anytime you get to do extra work for WWE and you get to see like, okay, this is it. So, being there at the American Airlines Center, when Daniel Bryan gets cleared to return, that was big. I mean, just it's hard for me to sit in a crowd nowadays.
Yeah.
Just because I'd rather be on the other side of the curtain. Mm-hmm. Nothing against people. It's just once you're there, like it's just you.
It's
don't
like
wanna,
once
you're
in, and then it's like because I feel the same way. Like, even though, like, I never even got past training. And I've done maybe a handful of shows. And because, like, I was so used to being like, okay, all right, well, they figure out something for me to do during the show. So, like, I remember at one point at SCP, I think I was a security guard at one point. And then I was something else, and then now they kicked me up to the stage to do play-by-play, which I'm totally on board with. But when the last SCP show, because Rick tore everything down, he's gonna build everything back up, and I'll let you have your spiel on Rick, no problem. Might as well, since I'm giving you the soapbox. And I'm all here for it. And I'll say this, like I have friends on both sides to where I'm like, I can't.
Don't we all?
We can't pick. Like I can't
pick.
I
pick, but like it's not the first time. It's not the first time I've had to stand across from somebody who's a friend.
Yep, exactly.
Like it's not the first time. It won't be the last.
No, it won't. And that's just how it goes. But yeah, like it's so weird. Like at the last show where I was just like, man, I'm just like kind of standing around. I'm just kind of like, I'm not really sitting anywhere. I'm just like, okay, all right, like.
Yeah, those are interesting. It's like you'd rather be up there, you'd rather be right there in the thick of it. I mean, I'll say this: I can't say that for the NFL. I can't. Like, I just want to be there. I mean, would I rather be paid? Obviously, yeah. But it's like, if I go as a fan, awesome. If I'm there helping out, awesome. Like, it's it's two completely different experiences, and they're both awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime where you can go to an NFL game, like, because I went to 2 Minnesota Vikings games, and it's so surprising that I'm a Broncos fan, and all I've been to is Vikings games. But it was at the old Metrodome, and the Metrodome rocked. Like, it was not anything pretty, but it was really cool. Like, my first time, the Vikings played the Colts, and they needed to win, and they needed the Giants to lose to get into the playoffs. And this is where they had Randall Cunningham, they had Chris Carter. Like, it was before they really had that really great. I think it was 1998 where they were really good.
Yeah,
they were with Culpepper and Moss's first year. They won the game. They beat the Colts. Giants lost. They got in. So I was like, oh, cool. That's awesome. I even got on the Jumbotron somehow, somewhere. I was just acting like a goofball, and the camera caught me. And then right as I sat down, like, it was just ridiculous.
Always.
As you were sitting down. Always. And then the last time I went, it was I was in high school, and it was it was in the Metrodome, and I sat by myself, and my mom and her friend sat off in another deal, so I was all by myself. But we just walked up and got tickets. We didn't pay.
I can't do that anymore.
No.
Oh my God, the thought of being able to do that. Jeez, no. Yeah. It's a whole process to get tickets now.
It is, yeah.
It's even worse if you go on like the secondary, even for like wrestling now. Yeah, it's even worse if you go on the secondary market to do it.
Oh,
yeah,
that's rough.
I'm not gonna lie. The only time I've had to pay for, newsflash, I haven't had to pay for a whole lot of NFL games.
That's good.
The only time I ever had to pay for one, when I found out what those same tickets were for that same game. It all depended on the record. When I found out what those tickets were for that same game, I was not happy. Because I paid a lot more. I didn't want to do it before the season.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think that brings up another thing is, especially with WrestleMania tickets, as high as they are, I mean, they'll still sell, but it's almost like, the average fan gets priced out a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So we're like, if you and I were like, hey, let's go to WrestleMania on a whim, we can't do that.
But that's what they did with UFC.
They did.
That's how boxing is. Like, once that group of people took over, like, you knew that's where that was headed. But I mean, yeah, like, as far as wrestling goes, like, it's very hard for me to sit in the crowd. Yeah. Again, I'd love to go to WrestleMania. Still would be very hard for me to sit in the
crowd. I don't blame you. That's with any show. Like, God, goodness gracious, what was the? I think the last time I was in Iowa, I went to this. It was I don't remember what it was called. Just some fly-by-night promotion, I suppose. And it had my friend Duke Cornell in the main, because he was from the same hometown as I was. And except that he got booked and I wasn't. It's fine. It's the Dennis Stamp deal. It's like, well, I did get booked, Terry.
I miss Dennis.
Dennis was such a great guy. He was the nicest guy.
I used to come up to top of Texas a lot. I miss him. He was just always like the nicest guy.
He
Terry Daniels too.
Okay. Yeah.
Terry Daniels too.
I
think Terry's still around.
Yeah. Because I know I always had really interesting stories with like Terry Funk when I crossed paths with him.
I only crossed paths with Terry in Amarillo. I only crossed paths with Terry twice.
Okay.
I did a show with him with OSW. And the other two times weren't like happy times.
Oh.
We were saying goodbye to some friends.
Oh.
One of them was Dennis. The other one was Tom Jones. But
Yeah.
always loved hearing Terry Funk's story.
Terry like was very he's a character, and I look fondly back at those times where I crossed paths with Terry, because Terry was the nicest guy. He was just very blunt, and he was old school. And and the last time was the final year of Kimbrough Memorial Stadium, because he was a WT alum, and as am I. And Cale Steed calls Terry because Terry's well known in the community, and he had Terry on speed dial. And Terry, Cale was like, "Hey Terry, like, talk about your times playing football at Kimbrough." And he was like, Cale, they come over there, kick our ass, they come over here, we kick their ass. And he had Terry going, and I heard that Terry wasn't doing very good, so he was doing the coin toss, and he shows up like a boss. He has this, I've told this story a million times, so I remember it plain as day. He has this New England Patriots Super Bowl champion shirt. He has like a, oh gosh dang it, he has a fanny pack on. He's rocking like sweatpants. He's rolling up like a boss, and he does the coin flip. And I was like, Terry, Terry, you look great. And he looks at me like dead square in the face, and he's like, "You lie like a dog." I was like, Terry, I'm not lying to you. I think you look great, but I'll never forget that. And then the first time I met him, it was at the Tri-State Fair. He had a booth, and I was kind of just meandering around, and I was like, "You were ECW champion." This was before I really dipped my toes in wrestling and really calmed down. Like, I was still at fan fever pitch.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You were ECW world champion. Like, you have you heard of like CM Punk and Samoa Joe?" And and Dennis is like standing off in the corner, just doing Dennis stamp things.
Waiting to get his cut.
Yes. But Terry, I need to be booked. Mom comes up behind me, and Terry sees her, and she's like, "Ma'am, your boy is a wrestling freak." So I was like, all right, I can never get away. I can't step away from what I've gotten into.
I think my big, because we just passed the anniversary of this. So this was 2009. It's not Terry, but it's still a bunch of cool ones, seeing as you mentioned a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
This was 2009. It was about 2 weeks before we started training. So I took the day off because there was a WWE house show in town in Odessa that night.
Okay.
And so I took the day off. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go hit the gym. I'm going to get some lunch, get ready, blah, blah, blah. So I pull in. It was leg day. So I pull into the gym. And as I'm pulling into the gym, I see these two kind of older guys in suits get out of a really nice black Escalade. And I'm like, one of them, he looked familiar. And I was like, I swear I've seen you before. As I'm parking, it hits me. That was Fit Finley.
Oh.
And I walk in to go to the gym, and I talk to Fit, get a picture. The guy that was riding with him was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Holy buckets. Small world.
So, well, hold on. So I'm like, I'm freaking out now. And I go and I get dressed, and I'm filling up my water bottle, getting ready. Of course, I took a picture with Ricky. I can't find the phone that these freaking pictures are on, but I'm filling up my water bottle. And as I'm doing that, in walks Mike Knox, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Beth Phoenix, Kofi Kingston, JTG, and Jack Swagger.
Holy buckets.
All walk in at the same time and start getting ready to work out. I said Cody Rhodes, right?
Yep.
Like he walked in too, and just now it's in meltdown mode. Like holy
My
crap,
God.
dude. And then I'm going through my workout and talking with some of them, interacting with some of them. I go upstairs to do my cardio. Punk's up there asking for a picture. Tell him, hey, I'm 2 weeks out from starting training. Any advice? He gives me a little bit. As I'm talking with him, coming up the stairs comes Kane.
Oh.
And now I'm like, holy crap. And so Punk was so cool. He goes, are you going to the show tonight? Yeah. Going to the show tonight. He goes, is there anything that you have that like I might be able to spot? And it's like, I've got an ECW title. He goes, that's hard to spot. And I go, I got a friend that's bringing an Edge sign. And he goes, Edge isn't on the show. And I go, yeah, Jason is just a big Edge fan. But he's like, all right, I'll look for it. Point it out. I'll point at you guys if I see it. Lo and behold, he did it. And, a bunch of Kofi and JTG were super cool to talk to. Cody and Beth were business. Swagger was business. But yeah, it was one of those moments where it's like, oh my freaking God. And of course the next day I heard Jericho came in, and that was as we were going up to take care of some things for training.
Sure.
So
wow,
it was just nuts.
Oh,
so yeah,
man.
that's my big wrestling fan freak out story.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Like, I remember, I think it was one of the Dimmitt shows for Amarillo Elite Wrestling, and they booked Jimmy Jacobs. And me being a goofball at the time, I should have.
Jimmy's a cool dude.
Jimmy's a really chill guy. I ended up
handing Texas. It was really cool.
Yeah, I ended up handing him a Liga Liger t-shirt, and those things are so rare out in the wild now. And so I think either Jimmy threw it away or it's somewhere in his closet. So I don't know.
Probably.
And
another cool one. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
But I had a whole bunch of shirts, and I just handed him a shirt, and he was like, "Well, I don't wear shirts to the ring." I was like, "Nah, you don't need to wear it. Just keep it." And he was like, "Oh, hey, thanks." And then I'm like, "Well, it's probably hanging out in the back of Jimmy Jacobs' closet somewhere, just forgotten." But every now and then El Gringo Local will bring out the Liga Liger t-shirt.
Oh gosh. So this one's one from in the business. So I had just won the Top of Texas title, and my wife is like right there with my older son, my 10-year-old. Like, we're days away. And so this was back when the NWA still had all the affiliates and stuff before they structured to where they are now. Yeah. Bruce Tharp had it, and he had brought Hiroshi Tenzan through for the NWA. And he was coming through Amarillo to defend the belt and everything like that. And of course, we had the show the night before, and then Jack Logan invited everyone out to his house for a cookout and to watch SummerSlam and everything like that. And I'm the champion, so I was like, might as well, go hang out with the NWA World Champion and everything like that. And so my wife, she wasn't really feeling great. She didn't really want to come. And I was like, there's jalapeno poppers. And so she's like, how many? And I'm like, trays. And she goes, I'm on my way. Okay. So she comes over and hangs out. And I guess I was getting some food or drink or talking with somebody, but she says Tenzan, and Tenzan's a giant man. She says Tenzan, in his Japanese, baby? Yes. She says Tenzan puts his giant hand on her stomach. And she's not going to say no. I mean, Tenzan's what, like 6'8", 6'7"?
He's a big dude.
And he's the NWA World Champion. Puts his hand on her belly, gives my son a blessing in Japanese, and then, says congratulations or whatever.
Oh, that's so cool.
The next day she had him.
Oh, the blessing worked.
Yeah. So I got that one. Like that was a big one.
That one's cool.
But yeah, those just so many great interactions over time
Yeah,
from fan or being in the ring.
absolutely. I'll give you two more questions, and then I'll let you enjoy the rest of the day. We'll let you relax after a
There you go, a
long
little
drive
bit.
home from Oklahoma City. Um, what are the big differences between when, like, you could say anywhere, whether it's the back, whether it's in the ring, whether it's, conducting business or whatever. What are the biggest differences that you notice when you first came in to now?
I think the biggest thing that you see, there's a split in wrestling from when you're just working for the crowd and when you're working for TV. You almost have to learn two different worlds for wrestling. Your basic is getting it down to wrestle for a crowd. Learning to wrestle for TV is a whole different animal. Because you have so many other things that you got to play with in your match. Hitting the time, hitting the camera, if there's a commercial break, when to speed it up, when to slow it down. But the main thing is hitting your time. And TV doesn't require as much like playing with the crowd as you would for like for lack of a better term, house show. And I think learning that, and don't get me wrong, there's so much more that I got to learn about it, even 17 years in.
No, absolutely.
But I think learning that and learning like that's the goal, like that's the end game, that's the level you want to be playing at. I think when you learn even at least just the basics of working for TV, it changes your perspective on wrestling all over the place. Even on a quote unquote house show, you kind of start working with a TV mindset. Instead of a hard cam, you go to where's the most crowd, right? Instead of working the camera, if somebody there who's a photographer, you work that, but I think learning, I had one guy I wrestled, this is the first time I really saw this difference. The only match I've ever had in Oklahoma. I wrestled a guy named Romeo Reese, and they were filming it. There was commentary. It was Walker Stewart did the commentary for it. And I got the guy in a hold, and I turned him, and he goes, he asked me later, he goes, "Why did you turn me where there was no people?" I said, there was a camera. And he goes, "Oh, yeah." I was like, that's the one right there. I was like, as soon as you see cameras, that's the one. Everyone else is going to be involved. Everyone else, if you do your job right, they're going to be into the match. It's the people in that camera that you got. That's the one you really got to go into. And that he's like, tell me. So I was like, okay. And I think that's the biggest thing is, you learn, you get your basics down. You can have a great match in front of a crowd, but the only people that are going to see it is going to be that crowd. And a great match in front of a crowd is much different than a great match on TV, because you can have a match that comes across great in front of an audience, but it does not look great on TV. And you've got to be able to, usually it doesn't translate the other way. Usually a good match on TV is also a good match in front of a crowd. So, or translates to being a good match in front of a crowd. So I think, again, like I said, I stress that to anyone who's young, like learn at least the basics of working TV, and getting it, getting your time down and getting, learning what needs to go into a TV match versus what you can do just in front of a crowd.
Okay. And you brought that up as kind of a piece of advice for younger guys. What are some other pieces of advice that you would say, hey, like, here's something to keep in mind, along with, hey, keep in mind where the camera is at when you're, working a streaming show or you're working TV? What are some other nuances that you'd be like, hey, here's something to think about once you start really getting some momentum going on your career?
I think you gotta understand that, it's a mistake that I made, and not, I'm trying to figure a way to do this. This is a business.
Yeah.
And a business is here to make money, not always make friends. People's loyalty cards get questioned, people get called into question a lot when they are making business decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told this to guys before who they walked up to me and asked me, like, how can I get better? I go, you need to go train with these guys. But that's going to make this guy mad. I go, I asked it, do you want to get better, or do you want to be a good friend? Because sometimes in wrestling, those two clash. Like, if somebody's going to get mad and not put you on their show because you went somewhere to get better, they don't want to make money. Like, you getting better, not just in the ring, but with your look, with the business side of things, with becoming somebody that can draw money for a promotion. If that person doesn't want you to go do that, they don't have your best interest in mind. They don't, and especially if said person that's holding you back isn't providing those resources for you. So you've got that. That's where you got to remember, this is a business. Yes, it's our dream. Yes, it's fun, and it's everything you wanted to be as a kid. But in the end, it's still a business, and a business is there to make money. Sure. Doesn't diminish your love of the game. Doesn't diminish how much you love it. But you do have to conduct yourself as such. And you do, sometimes that involves making decisions that aren't popular with people, that aren't, sometimes that does involve saying, no, I won't do that. Or no, I won't come work here and for this amount of money. If somebody gets mad at you, so be it. Go find another place to work. That's the thing, is that you aren't tied to one, especially for indie guys. If you aren't tied to one place, and anyone that wants to try and do so without the appropriate amount of compensation, one of the 3 E's that I learned from Kurt Stallion, experience, exposure, expense. If they're not fulfilling at least 2 of those 3, is it worth doing that kind of business? And I think if there's anything that young guys gotta grasp early on, it's loyalty does get you, certain types of loyalty only get you so far. Don't get me wrong. You want to be appreciative and respectful and thankful to those who helped you get to where you are and those who paved the way for you. You want to do that. But ultimately, you have to run your business of being a professional wrestler as a business, because promoters are doing the same thing. At least good promoters are. Mm-hmm. They're doing the same thing. They're running their business with the mindset of making money for their business. You have to do the same thing. That's why we come together. Hey, I can make money for you. Hey, you can make money for me. Come together. Let's make money together. Yeah. That's the thing. And we're doing it with something that we all love, which is the goal.
Yeah. That's a great answer. I'm going to flip it the other way. For a sports media person, because you've been involved with sports media, as have I, and I can spout off all day about advice and what to do and what not to do. For anybody that's like, hey, I'm in college right now, I want to get into sports media, or they're just starting off in their career, what are some helpful tips that you would give them? Like, if they were like, hey, do you got some advice for me? Because you have a really cool podcast. Like, you get to experience NFL games. You don't get to pay to go in, And so, like, what would it take for me to eventually get to that? To eventually get to that spot. So what are some words of wisdom that you would have?
I mean, probably reliability. That's the best thing. Like, because Fox, like a place like Fox uses, freelance runners, right? Which means I could go work for CBS. They could go recommend me for other places. Like I could go work for CBS. I'm not like tied to Fox. I wish I was, because I love that crew over there. But you have to make yourself reliable. You have to prove that you're reliable. You have to prove that you can do simple tasks efficiently and effectively. I got a lesson on this 2 Thanksgivings ago about produce. Because I went to Walmart. They were doing a Walmart shoot, and it was nothing on me. But it's one of those things. You got to show that you're reliable in doing simple tasks effectively. This one was a little bit above, but it was a lesson for me for next time. They were doing some kind of shoot with Walmart for Fox, and they needed a few bags of groceries that to kind of put around for the shoot. And I went back to Walmart 3 times because the produce that I got did not look right. I was shopping at somebody who was shopping for myself, not for TV.
Yeah.
I didn't get the produce that it looked wasn't big enough, it had bruises, blah, blah, blah. You wanted stuff that was going to look good and they could spruce up even more for TV. Again, it goes back to, hey, TV lives in a different world than we do. Production for TV lives in a different world than we do. What you see on your screen is the final product. There is mountains of things that have to go into that before it gets to your screen. And a lot of the more advanced, more complex, more complicated things that go into a production like an NFL game or any nationally broadcast game, even locally broadcast game sometimes, it is propped up and built on a foundation of people who do the small little simple things right and do them right consistently. So even if it is something as menial as, hey, go get the coffee, go get the groceries, go take this upstairs. If you can do that effectively, efficiently, and on time without screw-ups or without royally screwing it up or showing that you can't be trusted with something, then if you can do that, you get more and more put on your plate. You'll get to be, hey, go be Tom Rinaldi's sideline runner. Go be the runner for this pregame shoot with Jaden Daniels. Go, around town with one of our best cameramen and set up a bunch of shops and go be with them as they fly a freaking drone around Reunion Tower. Go work on his time lapse with them. Go, work. You basically gotta show that you can be reliable and consistent in what you do, and not take advantage of the position that you're in, because I'm not gonna lie, like there is some reverence into holding a credential for the NFL. They don't take that lightly. They do not take that lightly. There's a reverence into holding a credential for anywhere. It is a privilege a lot of times that can be taken away. And if you want to keep that privilege, you just consistency and reliability, even if it's something as simple as getting the right coffee, getting the right snacks, getting the right whatever. If you don't think it's that big of a deal, on a production crew, it is.
Yeah. It's always the little things that are the most important things at the end of the day. It's the little things. Yeah.
You got to think about it. You guys, like, especially on like with an NFL crew, it's 20 something weeks of being on the road. And that's a lot of stress. That's a lot of travel. That's a lot of exhaustion, because those days aren't short days. Those are 12, 13, 14-hour days sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And plus travel, plus whatever they, whatever they got, whatever they do in their spare time. And sometimes a little thing like not having, like somebody drinking your Cokes that you requested could be a big deal. Like, because that could be, just the stress level and the expectations for performance are so high that everyone's had that kind of pressure put on them at some point.
Yeah.
It stresses you out.
Yeah, it does.
So if that one little pressure release valve isn't there, it can send somebody over the top. I get it. I totally get it.
Then you have to start talking people off the ledge.
Yes, you do. Or sometimes you got to take a chewing. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Squirt Circle Pro is coming up on Saturday.
It is.
This is a chance for you to help promote. I mean, for $10, it's a pretty good bang for your buck. Plus, you see both of us there, doing our thing. So, going into Squirt Circle Pro on Saturday, what could somebody that's paid their $10 and they take their spot in Jake's back room? What are they going to see?
You're going to see a collection of guys that have been doing this and doing it well for quite a while, along with young guys who are hungry, who are determined, who are willing to do what it takes to get there, to make their name. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. But the competition is as intense as you can find it. A little mix of everything, you get the athleticism, you get the styles, you get the characters, you get the violence. There's a little bit of something for everybody at one of those shows. And I consider SCP my home. That's where a lot of really good things have happened for me.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my wall right now, Wrestler of the Year, SCP champion twice, Human Chess Tournament winner. That's where a lot of good things have happened for me. And you get a little something of everything with those shows.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can't plug Squirt Circle Pro enough. It's not because I work there. It's more like, hey, like for $10, what a wonderful show. It's not as long as it used to be, and but that's a good thing, I think, to where it's trimmed down. You have your first half, you have your halftime, then you have your second half. Like it's like anybody that's a big sports ball person, that's digestible. Rather than have like some 6-hour super show. And believe me, I've sat through a few of those at the Bear House, but boy, did I love them. But by the end of the night, I was dead. And I'm talking as a fan here. But yeah, it's perfect length. I would say probably one of the most, a really healthy mix of experience and youth. Really great presentation. All the bells and whistles will come back for the next show. So that'll be yay. I'll be able to be put to work a little bit. And for $10 compared to, oh gosh, Ryan, we were thinking about going to midget wrestling earlier this week, and it's only an hour-long show. It was $30 for an hour-long show. Yeah, I brought up the price, and I was like,
one of those big traveling companies, though.
Yeah. Well, and then it's also a novelty. I can see that being a novelty. I mean, it's little people, and it's women that, hey, I realize, hey, I have a place. And that's why they can command, premiums and justifiably so. But for $10, man, you get everything you want and then some in a wrestling show. Plus, you get to see a really cool dude like Ryan Justice. I'm just saying. But before we go, Ryan, plug your stuff, because I know you got a lot of stuff you want to plug.
So, I mean, obviously, go follow the Extra Point with Ryan Justice on Facebook.
It's a great show.
So, we looking to come back. I'm thinking about getting together a free agency show. I just got to get a few things lined up. But we start following. We come back right before the Hall of Fame game is probably when we'll be back, either the week before, the week after, or the week before, the week of. Be back for the Hall of Fame game. But gonna start throwing out sponsorship opportunities here soon for anyone that's looking to sponsor. Gonna start maybe poking a couple irons in the fire.
Sure.
As far as like some things I might have in store for next year. Gotta see how a couple things shake out first. But yeah, the show definitely, once we start getting to training camp and stuff, that's when we'll be back weekly. Usually August through the Super Bowl. And of course, my Ryan Justice Facebook page for wrestling is there as well. The YouTube Ryan Justice, at Justice8908 on Instagram or on X, or on TikTok. I'm posting clips somewhere, usually from the shows or from wrestling. But yeah, go check those out. Of course, Squared Circle Pro this weekend. Go check them out at Jake's. Looking to become the first ever Golden Spread Heritage champion.
Ooh,
so
let's go.
yeah. Add another one. I believe the first Triple Crown Squared Circle Pro champion if I win that as well.
Okay.
So suck it, Rick. But I think a lot of good competitors, but I've been in the gym working hard, hoping to get it.
Heck yeah. Before we go, shout outs Drew Huntley, shout outs Nico Suave for hopping in the chat. I know that this show is going to age like a fine wine, so it always seems like, hey, like the viewership may not be a lot, but I got a hardcore audience, which is good. Also, I've noticed with a lot of our shows is that people tune in and it has really good residuals. So
love that.
Yeah. So we're constantly getting more views, more subscribers. And to all of you guys who check out the VODs and check out that, hey, I'm much more than laughing at lol cows on the internet with CJ Holiday. Although CJ is one of the best to do it. We do appreciate all the viewers, all the subscribers, all the people that hop in and they like our little posts, like promoting Ryan, for instance, promoting an upcoming show. We wouldn't be here without you guys. So, Ryan, any final words of wisdom?
Man, keep it going. I'm excited. Saturday is going to be a lot of fun.
It is.
And keep an eye out for the free agency show if we get it up and going.
Yeah, and if all's fails, Ryan, you always got me. Just hit me up for for a date and time, and I'll make it so.
Sounds good.
Cool deal. It has been the Season 2, Episode 2 of the Unfiltered Podcast. I'm Tyler Anderson. The internet knows me as Tyler Liger. I'm here with the last Maverick of West Texas, Ryan Justice. Hey, I got the nickname right.
There you go.
All right, and we will see you guys next week, I believe. Ooh, gosh, who do I have lined up for next week? Now I got to look at my notes. And of course, I'm like, man, I'm on a roll, and I'm like, who do I got?
I get that, man. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Oh, I have SCP Hangover, and
there you go.
Yeah, I have that with Lee XL.
You.
Yeah, I know, Pew.
His proper name is Sparkle Fart.
Sparkle Fart.
Let him know in the chat. It's Sparkle Fart.
I'll let Drew and Nico know, especially with a lot of our other viewers. But yeah, Lee XL will be on with us, and then we have Lord Diaz, another pro wrestler turned YouTuber. He's hopping on Easter Sunday with me, so
nice.
Yeah, so a lot of really good shows. Plus, I think the Sweeze and Swizzle podcast is starting to rev up, and I think Swizzle wants to make an appearance with Sweeze. to hype up that show. And it's been on before, like it's been start stop. And it's kind of those guys are always up to weird shenanigans in Borger, Texas, of all places.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anywho, we're going to sign off. Y'all have a great start to your week. As far as I'm concerned, I hop on in another few hours. I talk about Truther 777 and all of his dancing goofiness, I suppose. The dancing doofus is what we call him, Ryan. He crashes out on his chat and he and then he dances in a hallway right afterwards. But that's another tale for another time. Y'all have a good rest of the week. We will see you soon. And then for those who are making the trip down to Jake's, make sure to say hello to both Ryan and myself. We don't bite, we promise. So until next time, y'all have yourselves a good one, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Had a lot of fun. Figured it's time to be on there. So, I've got to go